Hey everyone, it's Albie. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'll be going over A Little Light Mischief by Sebastian. This is book, I think it's marked as book 3.5 in the Turner series by Sebastian. I had not previously read any of the other books except for this one, so I don't think there was spoilers. I believe there was a couple from a previous book that are shown in this book, but it wasn't, it didn't spoil anything or anything like that. So yeah, if you want to read this novella and haven't read the others, I was perfectly fine doing so, and I think you would be as well if you want to just jump into this one. So the setting for this is 1818 London. It is a Sapphic historical romance. Sebastian, for the most part, look like a lot of her books were MM romances. There are a few MF romances, and I think this is one of her few Sapphic or lesbian romances in her writing. So it's set in 1818. Our heroines are Mally Wilkins, who is sort of a jewel thief and bad girl trying to be good, and then our other heroine is Alice Stapleton, who is sort of the good girl gone bad, and she is a vicar's daughter. So the two of them meet because Alice, is it Alice? So Alice and Molly are employed by Mrs. Wraxall, who is an elderly dowager. She has a lot of money. Alice is her companion, and Molly is sort of a scullery maid or a lady's maid for Mrs. Wraxall, or Wraxall, I guess is how you'd say it. And that's how the two of them meet. There is an instant chemistry and connection between the two, and there's a little bit of intrigue. So there is a character who is very dastardly and villainous in the story, who is a man from Alice's past. There are some scenes or depictions of blackmail and what's that called? Entrapment in the story. So if that's something you try to avoid or don't like that trope, that's something that is prevalent in this novel. So some of the tropes are Sapphic historical romance or Sapphic novel. It's working class women. It's a novella length. It was about 120 pages on Kindle. I think the physical book is about 150 pages from what I've seen. It's the good girl, bad girl trope. It has a jewel thief heroine, or both of them sort of work together. No spoilers there. And we have a vicar's daughter. So I did say one of the, I guess the content warnings would be blackmail, and another one is childhood trauma. It's not shown on page, but there's like reflections on hardships because the vicar was not such a great guy. And there is a character of Patience, very, very small role, but she was sort of the maid for the vicar later on, and she's not in a great way, so that is also depicted. Overall, I thought this book or novella was really good. It wasn't a 5-star read for me, but it was a 4. It was interesting. I loved the characters. I loved the storyline. I said it was really plausible, and I know some people are real sticklers for Sapphic or MM romances and historicals. I don't have a problem with them if they're a little more free in expression and stuff like that. You know, it wasn't great historically, but you know, it'd be a downer if it was completely historical accurate. So this one, like I said, the plot and the outcome for the heroines was really plausible. And Alexandra Vasti, she had a great post. She's an author with her first full-length novel coming out this month, Near Do Well. She had a really good post because there was a lot of backlash about the whole gender swap of Michael to Michaela for when, I guess it's gonna be When She Was Wicked by Julia Quinn. And she talked about there were Sapphic romances, and it was sort of not really like awesome, good for you, okay, but it was like not as frowned upon, and it wasn't punishable like it was for MM romances in real life. And I honestly, I saw someone else talk about that, and it's because this is a really interesting point. So they said, this other historian said, like, it didn't bother the people with Sapphic romances because it didn't mess with the patriarchy. And I was like, they might be onto something there, because with men, it's messing up that patriarchal structure, you know, starting to crumble. And with Sapphic, it's like, oh, it's just two women cuddling, whatever, it's not going to change the world. But the two men, it's going to change the world. So I thought that was a really interesting explanation that this historian brought up. I think it was on TikTok. It could have been on YouTube. It might have been on YouTube because I watched a couple things about like Sapphic historically, like my brain is so tired. I watched a lot of like history of like Sapphic women and lesbianism in the Regency era, just as something fun, because I love history and I love like dramaturgy. I don't think this is technically dramaturgy with novels. I did it for theater at my school, but I really loved looking at like historical lenses of you know, just exploring history. So I did that. And so yeah, this book had a really plausible outcome, like for the women, like they end up It is a happily ever after, and it has a really, I think, a really fun feminist ending that I really liked. It's women helping women in strife times, which I thought was wonderful. So overall, I really enjoyed it. The one qualm I had was I could have just been, because on my Kindle something went wrong, because it's not the first time that people have Kindle errors, but I got really confused in the book. Sometimes I felt like I was reading Molly, but then it was actually Alice, and it didn't seem like I was reading it wrong. It almost felt like the Kindle wasn't synced right or something like that. Like I felt like I was reading something and like the pages weren't actually in the correct order. If you've read this before, if you've read this physically or ebook, let me know, did you have a similar instance where it felt like it was not in the correct order? Because it didn't even have, like, you know, usually there's like markings that show like when the voice changes, like in a chapter. So like it might have like 4 pages are of Molly, and then like the last 4 are of Alice. It was like I was reading Molly, and then it was Alice, and then it was Molly, and it was them when they were separated, having 2 different storylines at the, like, in the past, a little bit past the climax of the story, and it just really got excuse me, it got really confusing. So I think it was like an error with the Kindle, possibly. But yeah, let me know. Overall, it was an enjoyable story. This is the book club pick for the month for, I believe it's the Blue Stocking Society. I looked on Instagram at Rachel Reads and Sings and Remarkably Lisa's Instagrams, and they didn't have the post anywhere on their timelines or anything. I believe it's July 26th is the live show, but I couldn't find that information. It wasn't pinned anywhere. So if I can find it, I will put it in the description box at some point, or just message me or message the host. I'm just going to be joining the chat. So if you want to join in for the book club, I'll be in the chat with everyone else so we can chat together if you want. Well, everyone have a wonderful day. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and comment, and I will see y'all soon for another video. Bye, everyone.